ears down if it's hurting the ears.
Very good. We're rolling.
Good Saturday, everyone. Welcome into the Miller's Edge post-game edition. Hope you're doing well on this Saturday. A ton of great football games going on as we speak. Alabama, first on the docket today. A high noon game here in Columbia, South Carolina. I know it's still breakfast time for those in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Arkansas. The Tide, basically two tails of two halves. The Tide looked beautiful in the first half, big-time lead over Arkansas. And what we've been bragging about the last few weeks, how good they have been coming out in the second half. Well, that wasn't the situation on today. Alabama looked sluggish, only scoring 3 points in the second half. The offense sputtered. The defense made mistakes, gave up touchdowns to KJ Jefferson. But despite all of that, the Alabama Crimson Tide hangs on and gets the win. I tweeted this out earlier. Ugly win is better than a pretty loss. So you'll take the ugly win. You move on, you stay undefeated in conference play. And that's all you can really be excited about. But we're going to break down, talk about this game, talk about the mistakes, talk about some of the good things as well. But nonetheless, the Tide getting the victory. Corey Miller here to Pastor Payne in Columbia, South Carolina. As I'm watching right behind me, my Gamecocks take it on Florida right now. They're down 3 points at the half. But the Tide, a lot of folks upset based on what I've been reading on social media. But again, an ugly win is a win. It goes in the win column, and that's all you can ask for. Christian Miller in Tuscaloosa was on the sidelines covering the game. Christian, I know the first half it looked like the Tide was going to run away with this ball game. It's going to be a blowout. But what in the world happened in the second half? You was there. You saw the emotion, the energy of the players. Just talk about, your experience today on the sideline, what you saw, what you felt like happened, because it was an absolute ugly second half.
Well, I think the biggest thing is what we've been, preaching this whole year is inconsistency, right? And we talked about it. This game had the recipe to be one of those games. I didn't necessarily label it a trap game, but it was on the verge of being one. Talk about Alabama coming into this week, played a good game on the road against Texas A&M when a lot of people counted them out. They took the lead in the SEC West. Everything's kind of going in their favor. They're on the right trajectory. Then you come back home. It's an 11 o'clock game. It's homecoming. You're playing a 2-4 football team, 0-3 in the SEC. But again, that record is very deceiving. They're a tough group. They play hard. They're not the greatest football team, but they're going to play you hard. We saw that. We talked about, these guys went to Baton Rouge and very well could have won that football game. They lost by 3 points. They fell short to Ole Miss 27-20, another solid football team, right? So they're no slouch, and we knew that going into this game. And it just appeared, first off, the first drive, it looked like they were going to come out, as you called it, the slow, sluggish start. And I said, all right, we'll see how this goes. Defense looked solid, though, but then offense turned it around. They weren't really running the ball great in the first half. But what do you know? The passing game opened right up again, right, for a second week in a row. Jalen Milroe dropping bombs, right? And I was like, okay, here we go. We got some explosive plays going. I'll take that. But I was joking on the sideline. I was like, it's crazy. We're almost becoming like that home run hitter in baseball, right? Our batting average is pretty bad, but we're due for some home runs, and that's what we were doing. But what I really liked, at least, was watching the defense. They were so stout. They had 2 big stops. They held Arkansas to field goals, back-to-back drives, and that was really good. That was a very important factor in this game. And then just watching the front, the front seven made everybody's job easy. They were so stout and disruptive up front. The whole D-line from inside out, outside in, played really well. They did a great job stopping the run. It wasn't until the second half, which we'll get there, that things started to change a little bit. But look, Arkansas, I kept saying it on the radio network when I was broadcasting, that our defense was limiting Arkansas. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. Their pass pro was abysmal. They didn't even trust their guys in pass pro. So they didn't even try it. All they were doing was quick pass, dumping it out to the flat real quick screens, RPOs. It was the same few things. And quarterback design run, they didn't have anything going. And so defense was playing great. Then we had the big shots on offense. So it started coming along. We got going. Went into halftime, I think it was 21-6. I believe it was. And, I asked Coach Saban going into the locker room, we got a 21-6 lead. What do we need to do to continue this into the second half? And he talked about it. He said, we got to be able to run the ball better. That way, we keep them on their toes defensively. We got to have more balance on offense. We got to get off the field on third down. That was one thing, defense could have done a little bit better in the first half, is getting off the field on third down. We got saved a couple of times. Arkansas had, poor execution. Guys dropped a couple passes that should have been caught. And so we got saved there. And then you go into halftime, you expect us, we're a second half team. You're expecting us to come out the second half, guns blazing, swinging, and didn't necessarily see that. We did see some pop out of the run game. We really started hitting the run game. Guys were picking up big yardage, big explosive runs, right? And then it was just like the passing game kind of fell off. Milroe didn't look as accurate in the second half. Wide receivers had drops in the second half. We weren't able to really drive the ball or move the field. And then defensively, it was like everything kind of shifted, right? Where we once were stopping the run, with relative ease, they started picking up yards on the ground. And then KJ Jefferson, we just couldn't get the guy on the ground. The guy, and we knew this, was going to be a challenge tackling a big, strong, physical quarterback like that. But, we just didn't execute well. We had him wrapped up in the backfield. He was able to, throw guys off of him, extend plays with his legs, and it really just gave Arkansas life. And you could just see it. Our sideline just didn't really have that juice, that fire in them. It almost, and I'll be honest, I felt like they kind of came out into this football game. They didn't necessarily have that same fire, as we had once seen. It was almost like there's a reason Coach Saban was preaching the way he was preaching during the week. Maybe they kind of had a lack of that, fire during practice. Who knows? But Arkansas, I'll tell you what, their sideline, as they kept getting momentum, they were coming to life. And, it's just one of those things, with this football team, Alabama has such a good team, or what can be such a good team. It's just inconsistent, and you just don't know what you're going to get. It's like when the passing game is hitting, the run game is non-existent. When the run game is going, the passing game is non-existent. It's like we can't have both. And I think that's what they have to figure out, what they need to do to be consistent and have a very fluid offense. Not, you know what I mean? Like, it's like we're not firing on all cylinders. It's like up and down, up and down. So many ebbs and flows. I mean, another thing that you notice, right? I think everybody noticed the pass pro again. Another week week of struggling with pass pro. Not to pick on anybody, but Caden Proctor, he's got to do better. And I'll be honest, it's to the point where I'm not a huge fan of switching left tackles in and out. Right, I think you just got to go with the guy and then let him play and get those reps. Right, and it looks to me like maybe Pritchett is just the best option right now. If Proctor is going to be the left tackle, you've got to get him help. You've got to put a tight end over there. You got to put it back over there. You got to do something to help the guy out, right? Because he needs it. The defensive end, I can't remember his name. I think he transferred from LSU. He was a big prospect coming out, but I mean, the guy had, I think, at least 3.5, maybe 4 sacks in this ball game, and it was the same, what we call scissors, right? 2-hand swipe. That's all he was doing. Working. It's an edge move, and that's Caden Proctor's weakness. So if Caden Proctor is your guy, he struggles in pass pro. You've got to do so. I know you don't want to, call plays, around putting somebody over there, but you're just going to have to do some type of something to shift things around. That way he has help if he's your guy. I mean, Pritchett, I hate to say it, but he's not a much better option in my opinion. He was in the game when one of those sacks occurred by the same guy. The guy beat him on a nice inside move. He doesn't necessarily move his feet well either. But that stands out, and it's crazy. When we do have good pass pro, solid pass pro, right? And I guess it's stating the obvious, but Jalen Milroe looks so much more comfortable, and he makes much better throws. And one thing I noticed, and I was paying attention to this because I was watching a breakdown of Brock Purdy. Everybody talks about him being a system quarterback. They don't necessarily give him the most credit in terms of his ability. But when you watch him, the breakdown I was watching was explaining how how good his footwork is, right? He has, almost, flawless footwork in the pocket. The way he sets his feet to throw the football, right? When he's getting in his drops, I mean, everything is very technically sound. And then when I watch Jalen Milroe, that's one thing I think he can improve on. I think too many people just look at the surface level and they're just saying, oh, he can't throw the ball, accurately. That's not the case. If you watch him, majority of the time when he's making those aerial throws, his feet aren't set. He's throwing on his back foot, right? It's an unorthodox stance when he's throwing the football, and not to mention he's got guys breathing down his neck. So just a lot of things we got to clean up. Definitely wasn't pretty by any means, but I just want us to be more consistent, right? Again, in my opinion, the defense, they kind of started dropping the ball a little bit in the second half. But again, I mean, that's going to happen. I think they kind of just, it's like we just sort of had lapses with our concentration, and that's what I, sum it up to be, because Arkansas had no answer in the first half. And so I'm not concerned about the defense. I know we could have played better in that second half, right? I'm just not concerned about that. I can just tell guys just probably didn't necessarily have their head in the right place. I think they kind of just got a little comfortable with that lead. It's an early game, right? And so I'm not making excuses for them, but I can live with that. We can clean all that up, right? Tackling can be better. We could have less mental errors. When we were in our zone coverages, guys were just finding those windows. We got to do a better job of feeling out the zone when we're dropping. Trying to think of what else I really picked up from it. I'll let you go on, but again, early on, it's just like this, right? Like that drive with Jermaine Burton, that first shot to Jermaine Burton. I'm like, here we go. We learned from last week that we're growing confident in those 50-50 balls, right? I'm watching Jermaine Burton. I'm watching his body language. I'm watching, he catches that ball. He's immediately staring down the cornerback, challenging him to follow and play. He's waving the guy up, saying, hey, come press me. Like, I like that kind of attitude, right? Obviously, don't get any undisciplined penalties, but I was like, okay, here we go. We're making an effort, in the passing game, right? Just got to get the run game going. But it wasn't until the second half we got the run game going. But then, like I said, the pass game was non-existent after that. And again, it wasn't just on one person. We had drops. We had poor pass pro. Jalen Milroe wasn't very accurate. I mean, was it a mentality thing where guys just have poor concentration? I'm not sure. All I know is if we want to get to the places that we want, where we want to be, if we want to accomplish those goals, it's got to be cleaned up, right? You can't be this inconsistent as a football team and hope to go play, in the playoffs, go play an SEC championship game. You might get there, but you won't win. You can't in those big games. I'm telling you right now from experience, you can't afford to have so many lapses, so many mental errors, right? You just can't have it. And again, this football team is a good football team. They have all the pieces. They just have to they have to play like it on a consistent basis. And that's kind of my takeaways, like you said, and I'll let you go and I might piggyback off if I think of anything else. I'm tired. I've been going since 5 this morning, starting with the Tide tailgate show that I did by myself at 6 this morning. So it's been a long day, but those are my overall thoughts. It wasn't a very pretty win. It was kind of the reverse, a pretty solid first half and then a lackluster second half, right? But now we just got to pair it together. I kept saying on the radio, we need a full 4-quarter performance. I'm waiting on that. I want to see that. I want to see us come out the gate swinging. I want to see us play through the second half and finish the right way in all 3 phases. Unfortunately, we didn't get that today. We knew what type of game this was probably going to be. It was a borderline trap game. We knew they were going to play us tough and play us hard, but it shouldn't have been. We made that type of game on ourselves. And so moving forward, we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. But you have to address the glaring issues. The left tackle position is a glaring issue. It's got to be fixed. It's got to be cleaned up, whether it's switching guys, whatever you have to do, or just putting guys over there to chip and assist. It's got to be cleaned up, because that to me really stood out in this football game.
Yeah, if you don't have anybody, better than Proctor right now, Alabama's going to be in trouble. They make a pedestrian player, like the guy, I don't even know his name, from Arkansas, 3.5 sacks, look like he is an all-world player. Same thing that happened in the Texas game, right? And to me, if I look at, the ugly of the game, that was the ugly. And I tweeted this, Jalen Milroe is going to get hurt. I mean, that's your backside. That's sometimes he can't see that guy, making that quick swim move and swipe move and coming around the edge and getting hit right in the back. He got up slow after one of those hits. So to me, I believe if you judge Jalen Milroe harshly early on, put him down for a minute, they got to put Proctor down. And he's a freshman. He has a great upside. He's going to be a good football player. But right now, his pass protection ability is horrible. And for a coach to continue to allow that, that's not a good thing. Now, if that's the best guy you got, then you got to devise, again, scheme-wise to help the guy, right? You can't be especially in second and long and third and long, just dropping back and putting him over there by himself and having the guy rushing in space. That's playing to lose, right? You know he can't do it. You know he can't win. I mean, it's just really easy. Jalen doesn't have a chance. Um, and I mean, again, I think he's going to be a good football player. He's massive. He probably need to lose some weight. He's got to work on his footwork. They're very lazy. They're very unorthodox. He gets, fundamentally way out of position. He's beat from the get-go, and everybody just speed rushing him. They're not going to run through him because he wins that if you just run into him. So speed is killing him. So why would you ask him to do something he can't do? And I talk about this all the time. If a coach asks a player, right, to do something that he cannot do, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. And it's costing them drives, it's costing them possessions because he is not able to protect the quarterback. That's the ugly end of the game for me. Because numerous times they were guys open, but Jalen had no time because Proctor was getting beat like a drum. That's just fact. Let's look at the numbers. First down, Arkansas had 13. Alabama had 18 first downs in the ball game. 6 of 14 for Alabama, 4 of 14 for Arkansas. Neither team tried a fourth down play. The total yards, really good offensively, 415 yards of total offense, very balanced. The defensively, they held Arkansas to 250. I mean, if the defense hold any team in college football today to 250 yards, you expect to win pretty easily. 150 yards passing, 14 to 24. KJ Jefferson with 2 touchdowns. They only had 100 yards rushing. So defense did their job there, but they were not good on several of those third downs. The penalty, the face mask, I believe, you got a pass interference on that one drive. Another drive where Terrion Arnold came on a cat blitz, a corner blitz, had KJ Jefferson. He threw him off like he was a dish rag. Alabama 238 passing, 10 to 21, just under 50% for Jalen Milroe, 2 touchdowns, but he had 11.3 yards per pass. That's extremely good. 177 yards rushing, 4.2 yards per rush. The defense only gave up 2.8 yards per rush. I mean, they couldn't run the football. So defense was pretty good except for those 2 drives where penalties and just not being able to get off the field to get the offense another possession. Penalties, not bad for Alabama. One of them was just a bonehead penalty at the end of the game on a kneel down. On a kneel down, you get a penalty. It's like, what? You get a motion penalty on a game over. So that's 2 weeks in a row with game over situations. Alabama's done something silly. They got to clean that up. Let's see, no turnovers. So a lot of good things from this offense. Very balanced, passing and throwing. No turnovers. Excellent there. It's just they had several possessions where they went 3 and out. Didn't get off, didn't continue their drives because of pass protection of breakdown. So when you look at it, again, I always say I hate stats because they tell only part of the story, not the entire story, right? But this is a 24-21 game. It's not like they were ever in jeopardy of losing the game, but still, it shouldn't have been this close. Now, this team led 24-6 late in the third quarter. I mean, still the game late in the third quarter, this game pretty much over. But a couple of good drives by Arkansas gave them a glimpse of hope. And we talked about not giving a team like that any type of hope because they're going to have energy, the emotion, which we saw, and they made it difficult down the stretch. Time of possession, 30 minutes and 11 seconds for Arkansas, 29-49 for the Crimson Tide, 24-21 win. Now, all of that being said, if I look at, again, defensively pretty good. I don't know what they had as far as sacks, Christian, but they got some key sacks and there in the fourth quarter. I know Dallas was pretty quiet all day. He showed up there on that final drive for Arkansas. They got off the field, and then the good news is they didn't give the ball back. So the last drive, and how about that throw by Jalen Milroe on third down, and with somebody right in his face, Deny Black. to move the chains to put the game into victory formation. So when they had to come up with a play, the good news, folks, is Jalen Milroe hung in the pocket, didn't escape out. He made the throw, very nice throw. Game over, game set match for the Crimson Tide. You know, the overall analysis for me is just this team, as you said, they haven't put together a complete game yet. I mean, they played great halves, great first half today. The last couple of games, great second halves. You know, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, they played great in the second half, where they was slow, sluggish, starting the game in the first half. But today, that was the opposite. They flipped the script on us. They were great the first half and terrible in the second half. So, I think if you're a coach, you have to look at why we can't put a complete game together. What is wrong? We got the first half going, but now we can't get the second half to finish. So before it was the second half and the first half was ugly. So as Coach Saban and staff get together, I think they got to find out how to get this team playing a full 60 minutes the way they know they can play. Because if they do, and we see them at their best, like they ran the ball really great a couple of series in the second half. The offensive line looked massive and moved it. They did their thing. Why can't they be consistent, right? And I think that's the biggest question that this coaching staff needs to ask and figure out what they can do. I don't know. I mean, I can't figure it out for the life of me. But I know they have great potential. I know if they put it together, they could be a scary team. Milroe has thrown great balls, deep balls. He's done great things, and they still haven't, Christian, really used him in the running game, which is kind of
No.
shocking to me. I mean, I don't know why. Now, they did do something I talked about. You saw them run some counter traps. We're pulling the Latham and Oos was coming around, kicking out. They did run some balls, on the flank, C gap, D gap / area, and got really good yards. So they weren't just running the ball straight up the middle. So they did a few things in that, which I was glad to see. But they still are not putting in a design run game for Jalen Milroe. I don't understand why. Why not? Why aren't they using this guy's legs more? They need to use his legs more. We know he can throw it now. We knew that. Other people now can see that. But why won't they use him
Right.
more in that department? Because that to me is not using your best athlete on the football field. And a quarterback can help. Let me just say this too, and I'll give it back to you. I still think the play call in the second half was suspect. Okay. And this is probably typical Nick Saban. Get a lead, you become conservative. Why didn't we see more shots down the field in the second half? Their two top corners was out on the one side. So you down to your third string, cornerback. So why didn't he continue to stay aggressive? So that's the thing, like, don't get conservative when you got a lead. Keep attacking. I kept saying all week, build a lead. You get the fourth quarter so you can play other guys so they can get some valuable reps. They can get some valuable experience. And we're not seeing that. So I think Tommy Reed's still trying to figure some things out and figure out who they are offensively. But I didn't like the fact that they were so conservative offensively in the second half that I thought it hurt their football team. Now, the receivers had some key drops, some first down drops. I think 11. Benson had some drops. I think Brooks had drops. A couple throws. Jalen had errant passes, but not many. But if you get those catches, I mean, his numbers look a lot better than what we see from a percentage standpoint. But nonetheless, it's a win. It's an ugly win, but who cares? It's a win. And so fix what you can fix, move on, because I think next week will be tougher. Defense going to be stretched playing this offense of Tennessee, and you cannot play like this against LSU and Jaden Daniels in this offense. They're going to eat. If this is LSU today, Alabama loses. So they got to play better football for 4 quarters. If they do, I can see this team making some noise and beating Georgia. Georgia won today, didn't look good either with Vanderbilt. Then they won 30-7, 37-20. Was score in that game. Brock Bowers goes out the game with the ankle injury. I think they had some key injuries in that ball game today, but they got to get better. Good win. Happy about the win, but they have to get better. They are so inconsistent right now, and they're a really good team, but they're not a great team. And so this team probably can beat anybody, but I think this team can lose to most teams because they don't play their best football. I think they open themselves up to losing.
Well, you mentioned Jalen Milrow and not really using his legs. Well, they did in a very critical moment, and I was so pleased to see it. We were down on the goal line, and we ran the tush push. Right? Remember, the old Philly special.
Jalen probably called him and told him to do that.
Hey, whoever told him to do it, thank you, because we obviously learned the lesson. I said this on the radio broadcast. We obviously learned a lesson since Ole Miss, having that botched snap on the 1 yard line. The tush push, I mean, it literally was effortless. Easy score, easy point. So I was happy to see that. And as you were talking, I had some, other things pop up in my head about this game. The more I think about it, I think that second half kind of, I'll call it a lapse. I feel like we kind of had some lapses in the second half. I truly believe it was probably mental. We just had a lack of execution, right? I mean, just because I was on the sideline. I mean, I'm around these guys. They just didn't necessarily seem to have that same fire. I said that earlier, but it's true. The more I think on it, it just almost seemed like and I get it, probably could have been some different plays called too, but they just didn't seem to be attacking the game. Like, look at it. Like, think about it. Look at how they were playing when their backs were against the wall in Texas, at Texas A&M and College Station last week, right? They were playing with that fire because they had no choice. It was almost as if they came out the second half like, hey, we're at home. We're up 21-6. Just made it 24-6 late in this game, right? But see, that's the problem. You can't think like that, especially against a team like Arkansas, who they'll fight teams to the very end. And so that's kind of what I would assess it as, is just they just didn't have the right mentality, whether it was because it's early game, kind of got, a little comfortable after last week. I don't know. All I know is we can't have that. And the biggest things are you got to address the glaring issues. And we talked about that. You got to be consistent. You got to be more balanced in the left tackle position. That's got to get cleaned up. Got to get no ifs, ands, or buts. It's got to be cleaned up. Let's get to these super chats real quick that we got while you were giving your analysis. We've got Kelly with the $9.99 super chat. Kelly, thank you so much. She says, remember during fall camp when I expressed concern over the left tackle position on the Bama Standard podcast? Still completely concerned. However, I'll take an ugly W over an L anytime. Thank you, Millers, and roll tide, roll. Kelly,
Roll tide, Kelly.
My dad, yes, roll tide, Kelly. Thank you so much for that $9.99 super chat. Like my dad said earlier, I mean, if we're being honest, we were at the scrimmages. I mean, I've been in practice. We've known that the left tackle position was definitely going to be quite some concern, more than likely. I mean, I'll just be honest. I watched, Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell kind of give Caden Proctor some issues. That's to be expected. He's a young guy. One going to sit here and number one, I'm not going to sit there and talk about that. Number two, it's like I said, I mean, it's part of the game. He's still learning and developing. I just figured that they'd probably get to a point where they said, okay, he's not ready just yet. Plus, he's going against two of the best guys in the country. Man, then they would address it then. But it's just, to me, my thing is this is week 7, right? We're midway through the season, just on the other side of it. This has been an issue all season. And again, he's a young guy, going to be a phenomenal player. This isn't picking on anybody. It's just assessing the situation. He struggles with his pass pro right now. And if Pritchett is not much better, then my thing is pick a guy. That way they can get all the reps they need and basically adjust to help them out the best that you can, right? Whether that's putting a tight end over there or back over there, you have to do that. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't understand necessarily why we haven't done that, because we both are edge rushers. As an edge rusher, if you are a threat on the edge with your pass rush, we all know, I mean, he's been there, I've been there. Teams will put chippers, we call them chippers, because they're looking to chip you. They'll line those guys up there. They'll motion them over there just to get some help. It's just as if like the plays that we call, we're just only running those plays. It's like we don't want to put help over there because it changes other things. I don't know. I just know you have to make a change, because if we continue to let that happen, Jalen Milrow is going to get hurt. We're not going to be able to make those explosive pass plays. And it's just you can't afford that much pressure, right? Especially on your left side when you have a right-handed quarterback. That's the blind side of the quarterback. That needs to be the most secure spot on the offensive line and pass pro. So Kelly, we're with you. That definitely is a concern. I think they they will get it addressed. I mean, they don't really have a choice. They obviously are trying to figure something out. That's why they keep rotating Proctor and Pritchett, Proctor and Pritchett. But I think it probably better suit both those guys if one guy just gets the nod and you just continue to work with them. Just continue to work with them. So Kelly, thank you again for that $9.99 super chat. I hope that gets cleaned up moving forward because it's going to be key. I'm telling you, down the stretch, it's going to be very important that we get that left tackle position addressed because it's been an issue all season and it still is right now. 6-0 with a $20 super chat.
What's up, baby? Thank you.
Thank you, 6-0. He says, what will it take for this OL to learn and hatch out of their cocoons? Oh, Lord. OL is bad. If we had a decent OL, we would have
he said terrible.
I'm not letting that stuff come out my mouth. I'm sorry, I can't read.
O-line is terrible.
Okay.
If we had even a decent O-line, we would have won by 21 points. Roll, Tyrell. Yes, I agree. 6-0. I agree. Thank you for the super chat. You're
Thanks,
right.
6-0.
I mean, it's like 74. I'm sitting here going, why in the world do we keep putting them back in the game? If you're going to leave a guy in the game, you have to put a tight end in the box. Put Nyblack over there and just let him just a quick shiver, a quick just punch. Just hold him up, just fake block him because he's going to slow his feet because no defensive end or edge rusher wants to get chipped, right? That'll slow it up just a little bit for 74 to kick back and get in position. I mean, why do you allow this guy to get your quarterback killed? That's crazy to me. I mean, there are good parts of this offensive line, but the left side is where the big issue is. It's on the left side, and they have to address and they have to fix it. I agree. Right now, I will put the word terrible. I will use that because they want to worse when it comes to giving up sacks. They're terrible. That's just what it is. It's just honest analysis.
I mean, we're close to dead last. No, you can't.
Yeah.
But if you look at the numbers, we're close to last in the FBS for sacks allowed. I mean, we're literally going in this game. We were like 120 something out of everybody, and then today we gave up. Chat, do you know how many sacks we gave up? I mean, it was at least 5. Was it 6 sacks again? I want to say I saw 6 sacks. Did we give up 6?
I was looking. I didn't see it. I didn't see the real number yet. I don't have the whole breakdown. Don't tell me that.
We gave up. Yeah, we gave up way too many. But the thing is, that's got to be addressed. And I just don't know why we don't just put even that. I'm telling you, that presence as former edge rushers, that presence alone helps out a lot. Helps out tremendously. So 6-0 saying I think he said 5 sacks and then 3.5 just to the Landon guy alone, number 40. So you got to address it. I mean, like you said, though, I mean, it's just really the second half is really just when things kind of hit the fan. I mean, we had a 24-6 lead in the second half until Arkansas scored 15 consecutive points, right? They did that. It was like an out and up or a wheel route by the running back they scored off of. But again, it really was set up because they just started getting momentum. Like, if y'all go back and watch it, they're running the same plays. Quick little tunnels or bubbles, little screen plays, quarterback design runs, little inside zones, and then the RPO hitting the slant, right? And for the most part, defensively, we handled it. Then it's just we had those lapses. But I'm telling you right now, it's a good thing that defense was stout, making them settle for field goals because they could have gone up 14-0 early on in this game. They could have. And if you think about it, I mean, they had the momentum early on. It was 6-0 until that big shot by Jalen Milroe, right? So I love that we're being explosive through the air. I love to see that, but I'm going to need more balance because I'm telling you, it's just like in baseball. Those big home run guys, they're due for a home run. They're heavy hitters, but their batting average normally they're not consistent, and so that's kind of what our offense is looking like right now. But again, it's just all about finding that balance. You just got to be able to do both. We saw the explosive runs. And what's crazy was those runs weren't really different design runs. Everything was the same. The execution was just a lot better. We just have to be able to execute. And it's always like, it's like one or two guys. I feel like it's like the lack of execution, right? It's always one or two guys. And it's not just, I'm not saying every single time, it varies, but it's just like, I'm just waiting for our offense for it to click. And then we just are fluid, right? Kind of that's how Arkansas looked in that second half. They just had a fluid offense. They could
And
run the
I don't,
ball.
I
They
just
could
don't
throw the ball.
understand. You hear me say it all the time.
Yeah.
Why can't we have those easy throws for Milrow? Right? Again, it's play calling. Right? It's like we see everybody else in America that can just catch and throw, pitch and catch and throw, but yet numerous times it seems like we have the hardest time just having people open. Sometimes scheme has to get guys open. Guys not always going to win their one-on-ones. Those guys are pretty good on the other side, but scheme can get guys open that they can't cover.
But you feel that way today though, because I'll be honest, in
Yeah, I
some
felt
occasions,
for in the third
but I
quarter I
feel like
did. Yeah.
drops to me were more, which falls under lack of execution. I feel like the lack of execution outweighed the play calls today, in my opinion. I agree with you. We could throw those in as well, but and
I
it's
love the
not
first
all
half
on.
play calling, but I thought we
The
got
first half
conservative.
wasn't bad. I mean, and then we should have had even more. There was that one, was it like an over route or something to Jalen Hale? Milrow just threw it a little high. If he would have let him just a little bit more, it would have been a catch and run. He would have turned it upfield for even more yards on that. But instead, Milrow threw it a little high. He had to high point it. He had the ball. The receiver just did a good job, just hitting it out just enough. And then when he hit the ground, he let go of it. But yeah, I mean, I think again, it's not just one person. I feel like there's a lot of people that should be held accountable in this. But you're right. I agree. They should have some more of that stuff for Miller. But I also just watching this football game, I feel like there was a solid amount of lack of execution on the players' part.
No doubt about it. I want you to hear something real quick before you go back to any other comments. This is Nick Saban. It's pretty funny, by the way. It's part of his press conference. I talked about uh, KJ Jefferson throwing off Terry and Arnold like a dish rag. Well, here's what Coach Saban had to say real quick. Let me get it back.
Team. I mean, LSU beat them by 3 points. Ole Miss beat them by a touchdown all on the road. All right, so this is not the kind of team that you all think they are. They're a good team, and that quarterback is a handful. I mean, when a quarterback can take a major college football player and sling him off like a gnat on a fly's ass. I mean, a fly on a gnat on a cow's ass. I mean, that was one of the most impressive plays I've ever seen a player make. And but we said one guy gets a guy, you got to hold on, you got to hang on, and we got to clean them up. We didn't clean them up. We made a couple of mental errors on defense in some of those drives that let them get back in the game too. We run a stunt the wrong way. Quarterback, runs for 25 yards on a big play when it was second long. So, but we learn from all these things.
So that's what I was talking about. That's pretty funny. He said a gnat on a cow's butt.
Gnat on a cow's ass. But look, that's what it goes back to when I said like lack of execution. That's what I meant. Like just watching those things transpire. What he's talking about when they ran that stunt wrong, there was no contain, there was no edge set. So KJ Jefferson just took off. And again, the first half defense had him in a cage. He couldn't go nowhere. He couldn't run. The running backs couldn't run. They couldn't throw the ball. Everything was shut down. But again, we just got it. You can't have those lapses, man. Like whether it's mental errors, a lack of concentration, lack of focus, we can't have that. So I don't know how they necessarily address it, right? I mean, normally that stuff is addressed kind of in fall camp and the summer program. When you're digging deep, when you're tired, you're really locked in. But it's just like we got to get more out of these guys, right? It's kind of like what Dion was saying. Like, did you hear him talk about his players? Like, we got to have guys that love the game, right? Not just like the game, right? He can't force them to do anything. And so I know, I think coaches can call things a little bit better here and there, but I want to put it on the players. Though. I feel like we could execute better, in my opinion, right? I feel like we have to,
No, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I'm just saying they still need to help the players with some of those things. And then when the opportunity arises, the player need to catch the freaking ball. I mean, that's the bottom line. Make the play. Then you're over there crying and you pouting when you don't get to play as much. Well, when you have an opportunity, you have to seize the opportunity. You got to be able to make those kind of plays. When you make those kind of plays, guess what? Coach feeds you a little bit more. So Brooks, Benson. I mean, dropping balls. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, it's just something that you got to do better. And when you're playing a better football team, and I agree with Coach Saban, Arkansas is a lot better than their 2-5 record, whatever it is, 2 and whatever it is. They've been in
now.
every game. They could have easily been undefeated. I mean, a player two, this team could be right there in the SEC West. So it's not a team that you're going to go out, and you've been saying this all week, that this is not a team that you're going to go out and just dominate, although I felt that Alabama should have dominated them, and they did in the first half. But at the same time, they couldn't be consistent. So the biggest thing with this football team, if I had to use one word to describe Alabama football, is inconsistency. Which team are you going to get? What team will show up?
I mean, that's what I've been saying this whole time. I mean, that's like I hate to say it, but that's like the narrative of this season, of this football team, is consistency or lack thereof. And so that just brings us to here. So here's the question, right? How do they get that? What do they need to do? And I'll pose it to you, and I'll ask you guys in the comments. I'll read some of them. What does Alabama need to do to be consistent? What do they need to address? I know you're probably watching this video because you want us to give you our answer. We'll give you that too. But, I'll start. In my opinion, again, I think it really is just got to get better play calling in certain situations, and we got to execute better, right? I mean, and if you have, how do you put this? I wouldn't say an issue, but if that left tackle is a weakness, we got to address it. I think to me, it reminds me of, like, say you got a boat, right? And you got these small little leaks. And just each week, another little leak is there, right? Here or there. Sometimes this one's leaking, the other one's leaking, right? You just got to get everything patched up. And I think once you get everything patched up and you address those weaknesses, everything else will fall into place. But it's hard to be consistent when it's like you do one thing well and you're getting some momentum, and then the left tackle gets beat, and then you're way behind the sticks, and it's 2nd and 17. You know what I mean? Or defense is playing well, right? You get a big stop, tackle for loss. It's 1st and 15, 1st and 14. They're behind the chains, and then you have a mental error. You don't get contained. The guy scrambles for a 25-yard gain, kills the whole drive momentum, and then now they're rolling down the field. Those are those little issues. I think it boils down to attention to detail. All the little details. Right now, I just don't feel like we're really, like, honing in on the little details. And I think, if I had to guess, that's why Coach Saban was talking the way he talked in that press conference. He gave the lecture on nothing, right? Because I think maybe he was sensing it. Maybe at practice, he's sensing that. He's like, we're not just addressing the little details, like, the way we need to, right? A couple of these comments I'm looking at. Titan guy, he says, block better and stop having bad snaps. Absolutely. I mean, we've got to, again, and it really just falls under consistency, because sometimes we block extremely well on those big runs. We blocked well. We created holes. The running backs had great vision. They're doing nice jump cuts, and they're hitting it, and they're out of there. Then other times, we're getting stalemated up front. Pass pro, we're getting beat. Can't even have a couple of seconds to the ball. So you're right. We got to block better, and the snaps, man, we got to get that cleaned up, 100%. See what else we got. Corey says 74 Proctor offensive line. He's fixing to help Milroe. They made the end for Arkansas star. Yeah, I mean, that guy made a lot of money today, probably.
100.
Right? He made a lot of money. 3.5 sacks, man. And it wasn't just on Proctor. It also was on Pritchett. Was in there for one of those sacks. It was on that inside move. I think that was Pritchett. But yeah, to me, I agree with all y'all. The offense line's got to be better, and I think that starts with addressing the left side. It's got to be cleaned up. Hey, look, big Jaden Roberts they put in there at right guard. No shot at Dalcourt, but I think Roberts is there to stay. To me, he gets much better movement up front. He's just a lot better of a player at that right guard position. So I think I like that move, and hopefully he stays there. Let's see. B. Jammin says inconsistency and no discipline. The play calling is like if something is working, then they do the opposite. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, again, consistency for sure. And there's the discipline part, that you can't have those undisciplined moments. Like my dad mentioned, I've never seen a penalty on a kneel. I've never seen that.
This video ever. Here by
be careful with the copyright. Yeah, be careful with the copyright.
This was tweeted. Look at 74.
Yeah. All right.
And all look, right. Beat right there.
All right. The copyrights. Okay. I
mean, just opening up the gate. Opening up the gate. I don't get why this guy is still playing. He's not ready. And if that's the best you got, I don't know if anyone in the media, I want to go back and listen to the entire post game. Anybody in the media asked Coach Saban about that. I know they've been alternating because that don't work either. But right now, 74 is just a liability, right? He is a liability to this offense. That is the only way to say it. He's a liability. And I agree with Jeremy Sanders. I see right here. He said move Latham to left tackle. And I would put, him at guard. That would be easy for him to play guard or even right tackle. Right tackle. But you want the blind side of a quarterback protected. You got to have that. You can't put him in harm's way the way we've seen the last few weeks. I mean,
do you feel
can't
it's
hide
too
it. You
late?
can't protect it if you're not going to put a somebody over there to chip or a tight end just to close up that box and where it's not an open area. I know you may not want to do it as an offense, but right now you can't run your play if you can't block the guy, and that's a huge problem.
Do you feel that it might be too late to try to make that type of move? I mean, you're already
No, I mean because those guys, those guys know the offense. I mean Latham. I mean, maybe he's not, but I don't know. Maybe they have experienced that. I haven't seen it the times I've been at practice. I haven't seen that, but I think you got to at least look at it. And I know for a guy that's going looking at being a first round pick, want to make his money, may not want to do that. But man, you got to find something. You got to find something that works.
Yeah, I mean, I think Latham played left tackle coming out of high school. So I'm sure he's probably familiar with it. He's probably comfortable doing it. I just don't know. I feel like it's kind of late in the season to try to make that move. Then the next thing is if you do move Latham to left tackle, who's going to play right? I'll be honest, I'm not even too sure who's behind him. But I don't know. I mean, I like
Proctor at right tackle.
You're just saying just flip him. I mean, you could try. Look, again, Jaden Roberts, he was a guy who had been on the bench. I don't know why it took so long for him to necessarily put him in, but in my opinion, he's been an upgrade over Dalcourt, right? So, is there another one of those guys that's on the bench, or a guy that hasn't got that opportunity? Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they start trying something else, because again, they've been rotating Proctor and Pritchard. It's not like they just left Proctor in there and they haven't tried anything. They've been rotating those guys consistently over the past several weeks, right? So they clearly aren't satisfied at that spot, and rightfully so. It's just I don't know what else to do. I mean, I'm with you in terms of I think it's obvious that whether it's Proctor or Pritchard, either one of them or both, they're going to need a chipper over there. You got to have some type of support over there. If not, I mean, it's been the same story all season. So that's kind of what I'm going with. But I don't know. You got Tennessee coming into town next week. It's going to be a good opponent. Like you said, I mean, if it was Tennessee we were playing today, I don't know if we walk away with the win. I mean, because if it wasn't for that throw by Milroe to Nyblack, which honestly was probably one of his best throws of the day. I mean, he had to get great touch and put that right over that linebacker's head. I mean, they very well could have got the football and at least tied it up, if not scored. I mean, they had momentum on offense for the most part. I know we had a big stop with that big sack, but I don't know, man. I knew it's like I'm not surprised because I knew going into this week that there was a good chance this game was going to go something similar to this. But at the same time, I would almost rather it be flipped where we started off the game slow. We kind of didn't play great in the first half, but we had a strong second half. That way we carried that second half momentum into next week. But I don't know. I don't like the feeling that I have knowing that we finished this game the way we did. Maybe they use it as a teaching moment. Maybe it's a learning lesson for them. I hope that's the case because, again, Alabama can't afford necessarily to drop any more games, especially right now in SEC play, if they want to accomplish all of their goals. Anybody else got any thoughts on this game? What are y'all's thoughts on were y'all pleased? I'm sure you probably weren't very pleased, but what did you see out of this game? What are your thoughts going into next week against Tennessee?
Well, shout out to Will Reichert becoming the SEC's all-time leading scorer with his extra points in the first quarter, moving ahead of who was the former Auburn kicker, Daniel Carlson. So Alabama beats Auburn again.
Shout out to Will.
So congratulations to Will Reichert doing this thing. He has been the most consistent thing. Him and the punter both who played today did a phenomenal job flipping the field and Um, something else I want to talk about real quick. Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm it's just something, man. I'm not buying his vibe right now. I'm not buying what I'm seeing. And I don't know if he watches himself, which I know he probably do while watching film. But he don't want to tackle nobody. That's 2 weeks in a row he came up and missed tackles that shouldn't have been missed. Um, he just plays lazy to me. And I don't know if he's playing cautious, trying to protect his bag. Whatever it is, I don't see fire in him. And then also in the punt return, do they not have somebody else that's a little bit more aggressive in returning punts? Is he cautious because Coach Saban and those guys teach him to be that cautious? He doesn't run up much, try to. He had the one return that he almost made something special out of it, but a lot of it, he let the ball just hit, bounce, and they lose really critical yards. So what is the situation with Kool-Aid McKinstry? One, why on defense do we see him playing a little bit cautious, a little bit lazy, a little bit soft? And then do we not have somebody that's a better punt returner? Because I think, if he catches it and runs, I think he could be dynamic. But I don't see him as a natural because I've seen in several weeks of games, he's giving up yards by just sitting back there and yelling, Peter, 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 and not going up trying to be more aggressive and catching the football.
Sorry, I was on mute reading the comments. So here's what I'll say about him. I would say it kind of looks like he might be a little cautious, right? I don't know if he's protecting himself or what, but whether it's like you said, coming up in run support, but definitely I notice it with the returns. It's as if he doesn't necessarily want to take any risks, and not just in terms of making a mistake. It's more so he's extremely cautious. And so maybe it is time to look at somebody else, at least in the return game, not as a cornerback, but in the return game, I probably would consider putting somebody else if he's not necessarily going to be comfortable doing so, because he just seems like he's not really taking too many chances in the return game. And I thought he definitely had a couple opportunities. Tell Coach Saban watch the Georgia and Tennessee last year. See he can put this W out next week. I mean, look, you got to take it week by week. It wasn't the most impressive game today by any means, but a win is a win. But hopefully they learn from this. They use it as a learning lesson to understand that you have to finish football games. I've been saying this. We've got to play a complete game. We just haven't seen that yet out of Alabama. Will we see it next week? I hope so. But I saw somebody say, DG said, I'd rather have this bad game this week instead of next week. I agree. Right. But it's just, I call it almost like playing with fire, right? It just feels like we're playing with fire. Like we'll be playing well. We're doing so many things well. Then we start beating ourselves, whether it's penalties, which we didn't necessarily see today. We didn't necessarily see too many. I mean, we saw penalties, but it wasn't like what we saw last week, at least, right? More so, I would say like lack of execution or just those type of undisciplined situations, right? We just can't beat ourselves. It's almost like we're our own worst enemy, if that makes sense, right? And so I think we just have to battle, whether it's battling complacency, battling that lack of execution, lack of focus, but the mental errors. It's never really what the other teams are doing. It's not like Arkansas was, just beating us down. It wasn't that by any means, not even close. It was all on us. So hopefully we get that cleaned up moving forward. Because again, this is where it's going to start. I mean, look, Tennessee's a good football team coming in here. We saw what happened last season against Tennessee. I get that was totally different year, different team, whatever. But hopefully we go into this game wanting some revenge, right? If that was me, if I was on that team last year and I'm going into this game wanting, I want to get my get back, right? And you got LSU.
Well, I hope so. But this team gets so relaxed and cool, and I mean, wear they big chains, iced out. They've.
That's everybody right now in the country.
I know, but I'm old
us.
school. I'm like prime. Like I want to see some fire, man. I want to see that this game matters to you. Every game, it's a privilege to play. It's a privilege to get on that field. It's a privilege to put the A on. I mean, why do you not see fire? Why don't you see excitement and having fun and flying around, especially defense? Defense is an emotional game. You got to have fire. You got to have energy, right? And it's like Kool-Aid is just too laid back for me. I like Terrion Arnold. I like Caleb Downs. I like even how Key played some today. He had some penalties there, but at least there's some fire, man. I mean, I don't see it anymore. I saw it a little bit in Ole Miss game. I saw a little bit last week. But they got to have consistent fire. They got to see out for whatever reason. It's just it's up and down. There's ebbs and flows. It's no consistency there, and that's my issue with them. I'm not seeing that consistent fire as we see the Gamecocks behind me about to score to take the lead on Florida. Tia Carter, $2 make you holler. Are we the only team that doesn't throw wide receiver screens? Praise the Lord, you're so right. I've been screaming and yelling, sending notes, whatever I can do to get a message to. Please, why everybody else run stacks? Please run stack wide receivers. Tunnel screen where he motions in towards a lot of scrimmage, snap, quick throw out, seal off that field player. Let these guys get in space. Let these guys shake and bake. Let these guys utilize their speed and athleticism. Why? I don't get it. I don't get that's what I'm saying. Even quick throws, man. Just quick hitches even. Right? We don't see any of that. And you got big time players. You got big time athletes. All of these 5 stars you got. And they're underutilized. And I see a little bit more out of Tommy Reese, but there's so much more in the bag. There's so much more on that legal pad that you got. Draw some plays up, please. You got too many good players to not utilize them. Why are you holding them back? That's how I look at it. Right? I mean, this offense looked good the first half. Why can't you keep your foot on the gas? Let's go 45-50. Right? Let's not fool around and make Bama fans squinch and curl up in balls and, getting, praise mode is good, but oh God, what's going to happen now? I mean, even one time I had to turn it off. Like I was getting so mad. Like, what are we doing? And nobody's yelling and screaming and holding each other accountable this week. Last week they did. This week it's like, no, we're probably going to win. It's Arkansas. We're just going to go through the motions. I'm just saying this is what it looked like from the naked eye watching it. You on the sidelines,
that's what it felt. No,
you
that's
right
what it
there.
Felt
You
like.
you feel it. You can tell. I mean, you played. When they just going through. So
no, that's what I was explaining. It just felt almost as if we were just. I wouldn't say as far as just going through the motions, but again, it was a completely different vibe versus last week. Your back's against the wall. You're going into a hostile environment. You've got a tough challenge, right? It was as if we were playing on this level. It wasn't a perfect game. We had a lot of mistakes in that game, but that fire, that intensity, it was there, right? And it was almost like this week was, and again, we said this the whole time. We knew going into this game, all right, you got to have the right mentality. I said it all week on our show. Like this, I wouldn't necessarily call it a trap game, but it easily is a recipe for a slump game. I said that all week, and it pretty much ended up being that. The first half, it started like that, and then I was like, all right, we're good. I was wrong. Here we go. We got it rolling. We're opening it up. We're letting it loose. Defense is playing solid. Here we go. And I was really confident knowing that we're a second half team. I said, all right, we're going to seal the deal, but we didn't do that. And that's the issue. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, we've said it probably for the past hour. The biggest issue right now with this team is the inconsistencies. It's here 1 minute, then it's here, then it's here. Then we need balance, right? In so many aspects. We have to have balance. The Bama Standard is in here. What's up, guys? I said we played 7 games and the same problems still exist. Tired of making excuses. Yeah, I mean, and that's why it all goes back and reflects on the inconsistencies, right? The issues with the undisciplined, whether it's penalties or mental errors or lack of execution, right? Or like I explained it, it's almost like a seesaw, right? Like the passing game's here, the running game's here. Like it's like up and down, like they're never on the same page, right? But you're right. I mean, that's why I keep saying, this team is almost like we're like our own worst enemy, right? When you watch them play, we do a lot of really good things, but it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards sometimes is what it feels like. And I'm not just coming on here to sound negative, because there were some good things in the first half. There were some good things that we saw in this game. But my biggest issue is when we start playing the Tennessees, the LSUs, and you go on the road to Auburn in another hostile environment, and we hopefully get to the SEC championship, you can't afford to have these mistakes. And I think the frustration comes where it's like, this is week 7. You just wish this wouldn't necessarily. You would think things would be cleaned up, right? And so,
well, I'm
we'll
looking at Tia post.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Tia with a $5 super chat. She says, "And wait, my dog Kool-Aid got that fire. He's just cool and laid back like Chris." Hello, everybody can't be rah-rah. Look, all right. Maybe he does. Maybe he is laid back like I am. And I'm sorry if I'm a little extra laid back today. Guys, I've been going since 5 this morning. I mean, I barely ate lunch. I've been doing radio and broadcasting all day.
Loosen up your time.
I know. Here, let me. Here,
you look like
I know. I mean, brother, I'm trying to hurry up and get on here because the people want the post game show. I'm getting notifications. Hey, where's the post? Hey, I'm on the way. But yeah, I mean, that's why. Look, I'm not here to judge anybody, but I will say, I don't know what it is. Maybe Kool-Aid's banged up. I don't know, but from an eye test, it just looks kind of like he's not necessarily playing with that same kind of energy that we've seen him play with. And I said, I see it occasionally at the cornerback spot, but to me, it's more so on the returns. Maybe he don't want to risk getting injured on return. If that's the case, just put somebody else.
Get his butt out of there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Put cool. Somebody else in there.
Timothy, appreciate that super chat, by the way, $5 T. Appreciate that. Timothy with the $1.99 super chat says, "We're struggling. Georgia's struggling. Who would win?" We had that question.
Neutral site like Atlanta.
Well, somebody asked that question on our radio show on the Miller's Edge that we do Monday through Friday. It was Joseph. He asked that. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, and this is exactly why I said it today, proves my answer. I said, obviously I'm going to choose Alabama, but the only reason I have to think, as long as I had to think, is because we just don't know which Alabama is going to show up, right? If the Alabama that played today showed up to get to face Georgia in Atlanta, if I'm being 100% honest with you, I don't know if we walk away victorious. If the Alabama that played with that edge last week, but they cleaned up the penalties, showed up in Atlanta and played Georgia, oh, I'm putting my money on Alabama all day, right? It's just you just don't know, and that's the difficult part with this football team right now is it's very inconsistent, right? We do a lot of good things. We've got some really good players. The defensive line has been phenomenal. They've been stout. They've been doing their job, handling business. The secondary has been playing great. I love our linebacker core, right? Inside out. I love Deontay Lawson. I like Tresman Marshall a lot. Jahad Campbell and Blackshaw, those are some great depth pieces. Chris Braswell and Dallas Turner. I mean, that tandem is the best edge rushing tandem in the country, in my opinion, right? Defense, great. Offense, we can be explosive through the air. Jalen Milroe can air it out long. When we choose to run the ball effectively and impose our will and get the job done, and we can run the football, I think we arguably have the best stable of running backs in the country. That's why it's great to see frustrated.
Get some run to some burn, by the way.
Jan Miller, and you wanted to see Justice Haynes.
Yeah,
he was in there early, right? We've got to find a way to feed those guys and to put them in position, right? I know we always talked about Jalen Milroe, putting him in position. Might be time to do that with the running backs. We've got 4 of the best backs in the country. We've got to get a little more innovative in our run game, or finding ways to get these guys. I mean, have we ran like just a regular running back screen? I don't think I've seen one in a minute, and maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, we do a whole lot from a diverse or innovative.
We don't. It's just a lot of inside zone.
Generic.
It's a lot of inside zone, and then simple play action
concepts. Couple of counters here and there. We haven't seen much quarterback run. I mean, if you're not going to run the quarterback, a defensive coordinator, I'm just telling you, if they're not going to run them, then they're not really going to account too much for them. They might passing situations where they have a spy there on Milroe, because you have to, because that pocket opens up, he can run straight down the middle, 60 yards, nobody catches him. So you got to make sure you account for him in an obvious passing situation. But I'm talking about running him on 1st and 10, running him on 2nd and 7, 2nd and 5, just design, quarterback draw, spread him out, spread, go empty, run him like that, put him in the pistol, give him RPO opportunities. I mean, there's so many different things, guys, that Tommy Rees could do to open up the game. And I just don't see it. I don't know why they are so conservative. Is it he's proven he can make all the throws. He's proven that he's made better decisions with the football. I mean, no turnovers today. I mean, that one time there was nobody down the red zone open. He didn't try to do too much. He just threw it away. Very smart. I mean, he's making better decisions with the football. I mean, you would think that every week they would give him a little bit more, opening up a little bit more. Let him, today they had opportunities to throw deep. Did it on the whole first half, but then we come back the second half. There is nothing happening there. We go back to being conservative, although the driver two, they started pounding the run game, but then they got in the red zone and things stalled. Got the third down. What do? A very generic play call. Got to kick a field goal. So, then we had a negative play. We run the ball good, and we got to get behind the sticks, 1st and 15. I mean, you just can't do those types of things to be consistently good on offense. Dr. Crystal, hello, good doctor. Thank you for
There she is.
the super
Dr.
chat.
Crystal with the $5 super chat. She says, we are consistently inconsistent. So frustrating, but roll tide, roll anyway. Yeah. And again, that's just kind of like it might as well be the, what do you call it? The catchphrase or the, I can't even think right now. I'm so tired. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? It's just no, I'm saying like that's the story of the season, right? What's the phrase called? I can't even think right now, guys. I'm so tired. But you know what I mean? Like that inconsistency or lack of consistency, right? Like that's kind of been the story of this season. And it's just like just waiting. I'll tell you one thing though. This team has my attention because I'm waiting. It's like I'm like, we're this close. This is gonna be the week we put it all together.
Yeah.
We run the football effectively. We throw some dimes. Yeah, we're explosive on offense through the air, right? Big plays on special teams, defense plays lights out. I'm like, that game is coming. We're right here. It's just off by a little bit. And I'm like, but they just keep me on my toes, man. They keep me on my toes.
That's what Bama do. I mean, they just it's just hard to figure out. I mean, we see at points and times great football, and then we see horrible football. And I don't know. I just think that I'll say it's coaching. You got to demand excellence. You got to demand. If guys don't want to play consistent, then find somebody else. You got a bunch of young guys.
That's what he said in the press conference. That was the whole spiel on what was it again? Nothing. That was his lecture on nothing. Was that you have to come every day and give your very best to be the very best. We saying for?
Because Movio 1289 says ain't no discipline if players are out trying to hook up with girls.
Oh Lord, see, you got me putting it on the screen. Hey man, I don't know where that came from.
He must know something we don't.
Is there like a story or something that we're missing?
Can you explain?
I gotta read stuff.
Somebody breaking something new. Somebody try to get the good hookup
while on the road. I don't know who that was. Well, I haven't heard that story.
Well,
I'm watching these highlights right now from the game earlier. I'll say this: Arkansas is a pretty solid kicker, man. They got their own little version of Will Reichert. He's not quite Will Reichert just yet, but he's a nice little kicker. But
the Gamecocks just blocked a field goal attempt, and they continue to lead the Florida Gators 31-27 in the fourth quarter.
Good for them.
So, yeah,
I'm just watching these highlights, man, and it's. I swear, man, I don't think we have. I think we probably only run less than a handful of runs, right? I'm talking about the design.
I've been telling you that for
I know, but it's just
it's generic. I told you.
Like, I mean, it's just like inside zone every time.
It's basic football 101.
Man, I think that guy's name is Landon Jackson, that defensive end 40. I mean, I'm not trying to knock the guy. I mean, he's a great player.
It's a player of the week probably in the SEC.
But if you watch him, I mean, he's not super fast. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of length. He's probably 6'6", 6'7". Yeah, he's a big dude. But that's what's crazy to me. Like, he's not even that fast of a guy. He just did a simple two-hand swipe. Also known as a scissors move.
But how many times have we seen that before?
No, I know. But I'm just saying, like, it's not like he's really beating him to the spot or anything crazy. He just. And I get it, beat the hands, beat the man. But gosh, man. And then again, just to reiterate, we didn't do a good job defensively getting off the field on third down. That was really the the biggest issue with the defense in the first half really was just getting off the field on third down. Did a much better job in the second half for the most part on third down, but gave up a lot more big plays in the second half as well. Just skipping through some of these. I wish we could just watch this together. That big shot by Jalen Milroe in the first quarter, right around the end of the first quarter, that put us on the board, definitely looked like a bust in their secondary. I think Kobe Prentice, is that who that was? Yep. Was running wide open down the field. But you know what I noticed? Jalen Milroe had a clean pocket. Very clean pocket. Sat there. There's a guy that came in his face late, right? Off inside move. Just squeezed back there. But I'm telling you, the more I watch Jalen Milroe, one thing that sticks out to me is his feet were somewhat set. I think he really could clean up his footwork. And I think that would help him improve as a passer tremendously. If I'm being honest with you, I now that I'm paying attention to it, I really think he could improve his footwork. And I think that in turn would improve his passing.
He gets sloppy at times with his
his
because when you
footwork
got a
needs to be
strong
cleaned
arm
up.
like he does, sometimes
He just is flicking his wrist.
He flicks it and throw it 50 yards. I mean, he could do that sometimes, but you're right. Definitely gets sloppy. Couple of things real quick. Mavio said that Isaiah got busted trying to hook up. That's what he's talking about. Demetrius McClellan said the turn of the game was a face mask scuffle on 6 and on a third down play, no gain. That penalty kept Arkansas drive alive and then went. That's true. That to me was when things changed. You're 100% right. Alabama in complete control. 6 is that Key? The transfer gets the penalty, and they score on that drive, and it turned things around. Right, those couple of third downs, even a pass interference too, I believe, on that same series, was a problem. But again, these are fixable things, correctable things that I believe they can get turned around and fixed and become a better football team. But they got to hold these guys more accountable. They're too relaxed. They're too, stress-free, in my opinion. Sometimes putting stress on players is a good thing. Like 74 needs to know that, hey, you're going to find yourself over here sitting next to me on the bench. Right?
But they do that. They put Pritchett in there. But they do that.
But they put him back in. They keep putting him back in unless Pritchett
because did you see what happened? They put Pritchett in there, then he gave up a sack on the inside move. Like, I hate to say it, but it's almost like, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't even know if one is better than the other. I mean, I probably need to really watch them, but I'll be honest. And I think the coaches probably feel the same way. That's why they are still swapping these guys like every other series.
Look,
I've been playing
somebody over there to help. Well, then he should always have the closed box on his side.
That's the answer.
On his side.
That's the answer. We're in agreement there. But my thing is, I played football a while. You played way longer than me. Have you ever seen a team substitute linemen, specifically left tackles?
No. I think here's
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's so
especially midway through the season.
Yeah, it's so crucial for offensive linemen and continuity, right? That's so crucial. Those 5 guys playing together, understanding each other's, communicating the right way. That's crucial. So when you alternate the guy, it's hard. They just got to go with the guy. But if you know it's 74, right, then make sure Oots or Dupree got hurt in the game, don't know what his status is, but put a tight end, even if it's not block. Somebody just slow down the rush on that side. That's your weak link. And every defensive coordinator that watches film, they identify the weak link. 74 is the weak link.
Yep.
They're going to attack the weak link. So why wouldn't you? Again, if a coach ever, no matter what sport, ask a player to do something consistently that he's not good at, that's epic failure. And I don't get it. Why are you leaving this man on an island by himself when you know he gets beat like a drum? This is hard to watch. And he's just not ready. He needs to stay in the oven. Put him back in the oven. Let him work. Let him get extra reps. Let him lose some weight. Put him on a nutrition plan that he could drop 20 pounds. Like Jaheim Otis, get him right so his footwork is better. It's too easy. And you're going to get your quarterback killed.
Well,
I mean, he's lucky he didn't get hurt today. Got hit square in the back.
Well,
lacerated his kidney. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, let me say this real quick. As I'm still watching these highlights, I just saw Pritchard give up a sack. It was a 5-man pressure. They were playing cover one on the back end, and 2 guys sandwiched Milroe for a sack. But I mean, it was the right defensive end. He came from one side. They blitzed either a safety or linebacker, whatever that guy is. I don't know what position he is. Safety or linebacker, whatever. Anyways, they met at Milroe and they sacked him. But Pritchard was left tackle on this play. And
who's the third guy? Who's the next guy?
The right end ran the next tackle.
You got to find some.
I don't know.
Left tackle is, besides the quarterback, maybe the most important position on the offense.
I'm just going to show.
You got to have somebody there.
Before I do that, let's get this super chat from Titan Guy with the 199 super chat. Appreciate the super chat. Titan Guy says, "Who was the best tackle you played against?" For me, in the NFL, it was I'm drawing a blank, man. Dude from San Francisco, best tackle in the league.
Trent,
Trent Williams, without a doubt. Played him when I was with Carolina. He is as advertised. In college, dang, that's tough, man. I don't even really know off the top of my head. Do you have a tackle that you played against that stands out to you?
I played against so many. I played against the Hogs offensive line. You're talking about Joe Jacoby. You're talking about Jim Lachey. Those dudes were bad boys. You go to Dallas Cowboys in their prime, one of the Super Bowls offensive line was Eric Williams. That offensive line was really nice. San Francisco. You got shot at Kansas City. I mean, I played in an era where there was so many really good offensive linemen. A lot of them that are in the Hall of Fame right now that I played against. Went up against Jumbo Elliott, my teammate, every single day. I played at Michigan, 6'7", 335. So I went against many. But if I say Joe Jacoby, who I beat in 1991, my first sack. LT was teaching me how to do this pass rush move called the Geritol, where you come off slow and you hit him inside, slap that shoulder, rip around the edge, and I got you, boy. I was hit him with some speed first, and I got him to squat, set his feet, bam, back around the edge. We call that move the Geritol. That was LT's name for that pass rush move. Matter of fact, I was kind of telling a Bama player about that the other day, about just making tackles, set their feet. But a lot of good Hall of Fame dudes I played.
You don't have to. I mean, it's not a big of a deal. No, he's talking about Braswell. We were over at Coach Mosley's house having dinner and hanging out with Braswell over there.
Look at my Gamecocks pushing on the Gators. Look at that atmosphere. Can you see the atmosphere? Sandstorm, the white towels, one of the most electric atmospheres in all of college football.
Oh, man, nobody cares about the Gamecocks in here. But look, for college Titan Guy, I would say probably Cam Robinson, who I went against at practice all the time. We came in together in the same class. Talk about a guy that just had, man, like immaculate footwork for a tackle. I mean, we used to call him Sweet Feet. I mean, he was so smooth, man. So smooth. And he came in ready. I mean, Cam started as a true freshman, but Cam was different, though. I mean, it's hard for guys to come in and be ready to play at left tackle as a true freshman, but Cam Robinson was different. He was a dog. You talk about a dog. Cam Robinson used to be talking so much trash when he played. He didn't care. Yeah, he was a freshman. He didn't care about nothing, man. But, he's from Louisiana. Them dudes are different. So I would definitely probably say Cam. Tia Carter with another super chat, the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. Says that incompletion to Hale was a beautiful ball. Tia, I'm not going to lie. I might have to side against you on that one. It was a good ball. I wouldn't classify it as great, though. And here's why. If he would have led him a little bit more and threw it in front of him, Jalen Hill could have caught that and ran for some extra yards. He had a few yards of separation on that Arkansas defender. But because he kind of threw it high and Hale had a high point, it allowed the defender to kind of catch up and make a good play on the football. And Hale couldn't come down with it. But it was a good pass, right? I wouldn't say it's a bad pass by any means. It was good. But it could have been even better, in my opinion, if he would have led the guy in front of him. That way he could have caught it and ran with it. But still, in my opinion, I'm old school. If you get hands on it, you should catch a football. Now I know that was a tough one. He had to really go up
He
there and
should have
get it.
caught the ball.
The guy made a good play. Then he hit the ground hard. Yeah, he probably should have caught it. But or even the other one. I know on the broadcast they said one of those passes was a bad pass. But in my opinion, I forgot who it was, but it hit whoever it was, it hit him dead in the hands. And I was like, I know it was a little high. I know he had a lift above his head, but if it hits you dead square in the hands, it don't matter if it's up, right, left. You got to catch that football. But again, Milroe still had some really nice throws. It's just the second half, he was a lot. I wouldn't say a lot more. He was more inconsistent in the second half, and I attribute that really just to I feel like the team as a whole, there were just some lapses, man. Like honestly, it wasn't just Milroe, it wasn't just the receivers, just the defensive line, not having contained it. Just as a team, I was on the sideline as a sideline reporter. We didn't have that juice. Honestly, we didn't. Now, when Milroe threw that big shot at Prentice, we saw some juice. Everybody came live. But before, when it was 6-0, I mean, the sideline was kind of quiet. I really think, I'm not making excuses, but I think 11 o'clock game, coming off of the big win last week, homecoming. If I'm just being honest with you, I don't think guys had the best mentality today. If I'm being transparent with you. Let's see real quick. Genevieve's house back again with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Yes, is it? You said it's the what is it? Geritol?
The Geritol, baby. That's the Geritol.
What is that? She said, "Loved it. Roll Tide. Roll Tide."
You never heard of the
Thank you so
Geritol?
much.
I ain't gonna. You go Google it.
No.
Google.
Don't try to get on me about not hearing. You didn't even know what John Wick was. So I don't.
Does anybody on here know who John Wick is?
I guarantee you, everybody knows what John. What
right now?
Who or what?
I bet you a lot of people on here do not know.
Movie series. Come on, dude. No.
I bet you a lot of people on here don't know who John Wick is.
Dude, come on.
I don't see.
Genevieve, do you know? Have you seen or do you know of John Wick? I mean, chat, help me out. Please tell me that y'all have heard or seen John Wick. This guy acts like guys, we're talking about John Wick, man. Come on now. Genevieve, thank you so much again for the $20 super chat.
Thank you. But just like it gives you a little boost, but boom, but you for slow, methodical, Geritol, we describe as coming off the line of scrimmage, really slow, hit him on the inside, boom, and then boom.
Dude, everybody in the chat. So I didn't mean to disrupt your demonstration, but everybody. Yes, sir. Yup. We know who John Wick is. Yup. Yes. Part 4. Yes. Everybody. So it looks like you're
even Dr. Crystal. Come on,
yeah, even Dr. Crystal. Great movies. Crystal, I told you. Keanu Reeves. Like everybody knows John Wick.
I'm your boy. Come on, you got 4 John Wick movies.
Yeah, Sam. Everybody knows. So that debate's over. So you're the only one. So you're trying to be cool and stuff. You need to go watch John Wick. They're great movies. There's a few of them. But Tia says, have to go by and watch. I was wondering if it was the pass rush that had him with those missed throws. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. It wasn't a bad throw. I thought, in my opinion, it could have been even better if he let him. But still, we should have came up with that play without a doubt, right? But I will say, you're right in terms of when you watch, and honestly, I really want to go back and watch other games, but it starts with pass rush. Jalen's not comfortable in that pocket when he's feeling all that pressure. That forces him to have bad footwork. He's throwing off his back foot. He's throwing, all type of different ways. And as a quarterback, it's imperative that you get your feet set, right? You got to set your feet and really drive the football. And you can go watch in the NFL, like the quarterbacks that have good footwork, right? They might not have the most arm strength, right? They might not be the most talented guy, but if they have good footwork and good fundamentals, typically they do a really good job of throwing the football and delivering the football. And so I think that's just one area that Jalen Milroe could clean up. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, he was bad by any means. I just think the more I paid attention to it today, I realized that I said, oh man, that's one area he could probably clean up. And I think it would make him exponentially better, just being able to get his footwork improved and getting his feet set. The Bama Standard is here. They say they give, first of all, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you guys.
Come on, man. Come on, Bama.
We know who John Wick is. We need y'all on our show next week. We'll try to hop on there and maybe when we hop on there, get you guys to join in and tell him that he's under a rock without.
Well, I didn't want to say that with I'm drawing Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown will call me out, I'm sure, on the Bama Standard. Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown.
comedian. And
Steve
then Mr.
Brown? Oh,
Yeah.
Steve Brown. I was like, who's Mr. Brown?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Steve Brown. Marvin probably get you too, though. No, we definitely
I ain't
need
worried about
to.
Marvin.
We need to let them hop on here. They always ask to hop on here too. We got to make that happen.
We'll do that.
We'll definitely set that up.
We'll combo the people because we used to do that. Enjoy being on there. I'll be traveling.
I wish there's a way to like dual stream
Tuscaloosa this week, so definitely maybe we can be at your house and jump on there. Why Joe Dillon said we're making excuses for Miro, not me.
Hold on. We'll get back there. Let me get to Kelly real quick. Kelly with another $9.99 super chat.
Thank you, Kelly Kell.
Shout out to Kelly Kells. Kelly says the last scoring drive before the half was a thing of beauty. Can we have those every series, please? Even I know who John Wick is at 52. Dude, everybody's coming for you, brother. That's why when you said that last week, I was like, what are you talking about?
What does he even look like? What color is he?
Dude, just Google John Wick, man. It's Keanu Reeves, man. He's got the hair. I mean, he's like you just got to watch it. It's like it's one of those action movies. I mean, he's just one of those.
So John Wick is a person.
He's a badass, right?
Is a person or a movie?
Well, John Wick is the guy, but I mean, it's a movie. It's a series, right? His name's John Wick. I just don't. You maybe you've seen it. You just don't realize it. I don't know.
I know.
But Kelly, thank you so much. Exactly. If you know Keanu Reeves, you've definitely seen it or heard of it. But Kelly, thank you so much for the super chat. That's the thing about football. I mean, you can't be perfect, but you want to try your best to be as close to it as possible. And that's why we talk about consistency. Like, and I'm just one of those people that this is how I operate. If we've done it before, we can do it again. And so once they show me that they have the ability to do that, I believe that it should look like that every time, just like you. And that's how Coach Saban thinks, right? Now, if it's something that we haven't shown yet, that's a little bit different. But if we've shown that we can put these drives together, we can run the football effectively, we can impose our will and dominate the line of scrimmage, we can throw it over the top and beat guys through the air. We've shown all those things. It's about doing it consistently. And so, again, I think you can't finger point just one thing. You can't just point the finger at the coaches and the play call, and you can't just talk about the lack of executions. It's everybody. It's a collective effort. And I think we just have to get that, right? And it's like a teeter-totter, whatever it's called, seesaw, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's like when one thing's working, the other thing's not. And when this thing's working, the other thing's not. Like we never are just in balance. But hopefully we get that. So now everybody's over here talking about John Wick and how good it is. So I might even just have to go watch John Wick.
Kelly Kell, Dr. Crystal. I'm your boy. I'm your man in 50th grade. Y'all supposed to rock with me. I'm 55, Kelly Kell.
What does that mean?
I'm double nickel.
If you don't know John Wick, you don't know John Wick. There's no sympathy, brother. Come on now.
Justin is thank you, Justin. We likewise we that's a reciprocal. But listen,
I don't know who John Shaft is. I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all got me beat there. So y'all can flame me in the comments if you like, because I don't
know who is John Shaft.
John
I know Shaft is.
You know who John Shaft
is?
It's
getting dark here. Can y'all see me on here? Because I'm dark. I'm dark skinned.
Okay, hold on. Now let's go back to now. I don't even want to address negativity, but I'm all for.
No, we do address negativity. You can't be one way.
I meant like I don't want if it's like negative, right? Like I don't want to. No. I'm gonna read it, but I'm saying if it's disrespectful, we don't do that. But let's see. Let's
no,
read
we
it.
don't disrespect.
Come on, guys, stop making excuses for Milroe. Yes, the offensive line stinks. But Milroe is like a deer caught in headlights, terrible even when he had time in the second half. Yeah, I can't agree with you on that one. I can't agree with you on that one, Joe. And here's why, right? No one's going to be perfect, right? I mean, the guys, just look at the performance he had last week, right? And I'm telling you, when the guy has time in the pocket, he's great. Even when he doesn't have time, he still can make throws. But obviously, that's where most of those issues occur. Now, is there a couple times when he had time and he won perfect with his throw? That happens though, but I wouldn't. I can't side with you there, Joe. I promise I'm not making excuses.
Let me answer because
I'm gonna let you. I'm just gonna say real quick.
Let me handle this.
I'm not making excuses for anybody. I address things as I see it, and from what I've seen from Jalen Milroe, like I'm not just supporting him because I want him and he's the guy I want to be. I'm just calling it how I see it. He's a good football player. He has things he can improve on, just like everybody else. But this guy is a hell of a playmaker. And when he's in position to make plays and he has protection and there's good play calls and you give him opportunities, right, to succeed, the guy is one of the best that there is out there, right? It's just all about getting the right guys around him and having the guys around him execute. And he himself, again, I talked about his footwork that could be better. He could do a lot of things better, just like everybody else. When I played, there was buku things I could have done better. That's part of the game, and that's what makes it so much fun. You always are working to be the very best that you can be. All right, go ahead, because I know you're about I know you're about to eat this up.
I had to hit my
Here
light.
we go.
And
you
let
pray,
there
you had to
be.
pray real quick.
Let there be
You had to pray
light.
before you address this.
Yeah, I do. All right, here we go, Joe.
Oh
Joe
Lord,
D.
let me mute.
Listen, nobody's making excuses. Okay, we just try to say what we think and what we see, not just in the games, but also in practice. Okay, but let me just tell you this: there is something I will say that Milroe has to get better at. I think sometimes he stays in the pocket too long. I think sometimes nothing is there, and he needs to rely on his strength, which is running the football. Right? There's times, and even early in the game, that he kind of held, and then at the last minute, he moves around and he gets tackled for a loss or sack. You hear me talk about processing information. Well, when you go through your progression and your reads, and it's not there, then just go. Don't dance around. Get north and south. Go make plays with your legs. If you get 20 yards with your legs, it's just as good as a completion. But I do see a hesitation. I do see just hanging around too long because he's trying to be a pocket guy. It's okay to do that sometimes, but you got to be decisive and just run the football. Okay? Be decisive and run the football. But that's the only negative thing I got. But I got 10 good things. He protected the football. He's gotten better at that. He's not making those crazy passes, trying to force the ball into tight coverages. That means his decision making is getting better. His throws have been really good. Now his percentage has been great up to this point. He's completing in the 70s of his passes, 70-something percent. Now he only did like 48% today, I believe 20 or 21, but still 11.3 yards per pass, which is incredible. He threw passes that was really good today that his receivers dropped. So listen, he's giving you a chance to win. And again, I repeat, this guy has only had 6 or 7 starts in his career, right? In his career. So he is still a work in progress, no doubt about it. But also the coach, the offensive coordinator, has to help him even more, meaning open up opportunities to have easier throws, running quick throws. I haven't seen those slants that Burton took to the house. Quick slants, spreading them out, tunnel screens, bubble screens, jet sweeps, pop passes. There's so many different things that they could do to help him getting the ball out of his hands and getting it into the hands of the playmakers. So nobody's making excuses. We call it like we see it. I mean, there's times that he's been really good, and there's times that not so good. Okay, but he is growing. He is maturing. He is really, I think, every week making strides in one department or another. So I'm happy with the progression of Jalen Milroe. He's still a young player. He's still somewhat inexperienced in certain levels, I should say. But we're not making excuses. Tia says no interceptions. He's getting better and better, which is what I just said. Even refusing to run to show people like you he can throw the ball. She's talking about Joe D. Was he perfect? Nope. In all caps. Did his OC help him out in the second half? Nope. I agree with all of that. So, listen, work in progress. Milroe is a lot of great days in front of him. This guy's going to do some amazing things, and the more this offensive coordinator begins to trust him and sharpen that number 2 pencil and get him rocking and rolling and just open up this offense more. We're trying to still be traditional Alabama where we can be very methodical and just run the ball and throw it when we need to, work it down the field. It happens sometimes, but that's not really who we are because we have issues at the offensive line position. Therefore, I think you spread people out. You spread them out, and then you give him that run-pass options and things like that. But again, I think he has a long ways to go. Yes, he's not there yet, but I think he's growing and he's getting there, and I think we're going to see this thing open up down the road when it counts the most.
And for anybody wondering why it's important to throw those screens and things in there, because I know sometimes people used to see a bunch of screens and be like, why are we running all these screens? If you run it too much, yes, it's frustrating and it's not necessarily the most effective thing, right? But the reason we're calling for that is because it keeps the defense on their toes, right? If you're just simply going inside zone, just drop back pass or simple play action, the defense isn't really, having to respect a lot of things, right? They kind of just are almost prepared for what you're doing, right? But when you operate out of an offense that implements, the screen game, right? You're going RPOs, you're going, inside zone 1 minute, then you're running counter, then you got a jet sweep coming off, then you're setting up a deep shot. It keeps the defense on their toes and you're a lot more balanced. That's why we keep saying that, because you got to work the perimeter, right? Like as a defender, when you're playing a team, if you just know they're just going to sit there and just try to run the ball down and throw, I mean, I can just brace for the run, and then I know it's 3rd and long, I'm going to gear up for a nice pass rush, right? But when they're throwing screens, I got to turn and get out the stack. It's requiring me to run. It's requiring the linebackers to run sideline to sideline, right? When you're running RPOs, the linebackers, they have to respect the run. They have to play their run responsibility, right? They have to come and go put a hat on that guard, right? Like you have to respect that, because there is a run in that play call. Now they can throw it, and that's why it's such a huge challenge for defenses, and that's why I think we really should operate out of more of an RPO offense, because number one, you've got the personnel for it with a guy like Jalen Milroe, but number two, it's so difficult for a defense to defend it, right? Because those linebackers, that's one. Imagine how hard it is to coach a linebacker and say, all right, you got to key the guard, you got to key the H-back, right? You're keying that guy. They do this. You got to go trigger on the run, and then this is your run support. Oh, but wait, they also can pull it, and you got to get back to your responsibility to go, drop off of 3, drop in the hook, right? It's so hard to do both of those things, and that's why we want to see more of that done, because it stresses the defense much more versus, you're just running inside zone. Okay, then we're just going to fake the inside zone and do a drop back pass. Like, it's not stressing them too much. Now I get we have great players, but unless you have, I mean, we do have a roster like that, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we used to be able to get away with that, because when you got Waddle and Smitty, and I mean, you could just simply just do a quick little slant. I mean, them guys are going to take that for 40 plus to the house.
The Bama
be a little more
standard.
simple there.
Y'all right, Tia. All y'all are right. Because when I
on.
go off camera, I'm turning my head. I ain't yelling. I ain't cussing yet. Lord help me to guard my tongue, Lord. Well, it's like I feel like this is twice today, right? I got to deal with Alabama. Got me here struggling. Got me here sweating.
It was only a half. You'll be all right. It's just one half. You had to feel like
no,
that.
No. Oh, no, Alabama, yeah. But Tia said, "LL, Florida got Corey sweating back there." LOL, ha. He keep turning around to watch that game. I am, and it's a key second. I think it's a key third.
He's
down
got to keep up with his game
because the defense is not good. Our South Carolina's defense is not good right now. Let's see.
Hold on, let me get to these super chats real quick. Genevieve's house back again with the $9.99 super chat. She says Wick is good. Excuse me, as in John Wick, but not as good as a Denzel, McCall on the Equalizer. The Equalizer's good.
I don't know about none of that.
Please tell me come on now.
I watch football all day, every day. I
get it. I get it.
In the morning.
Come on now.
I watch church. I watch.
You don't know the Equalizer either?
I don't watch anything. My wife watches Housewives and
Bro, you're not that old, man. You're not that old.
I just don't. I don't get into a lot of that stuff. I'm passionate about my faith. I'm passionate about football. I'm passionate about family. All this other stuff y'all be watching, I just can't.
You're missing out, man.
I don't like politics. I don't watch that crap. I just try to pour stuff into me that helps me be strong, and not all this weird stuff that y'all are watching. I ain't mad at you.
I'm with you on the Equalizer, Genevieve. He just forgive him.
I did like Yellowstone. I did like Yellowstone. Okay, hold on.
Yellowstone's all right.
Critical third down.
All right, you watch that while I get a Tia super chat. Tia with the $2 super chat. She says Milroe's hamstring is making him a pocket guy. We know. I'll be honest. I don't necessarily know if he's dealing with a hamstring injury, if I'm being completely honest with you. I really don't think he is, believe it or not. Now, I'm no expert or no doctor. I mean, obviously, I'm around a lot, but I really don't think he's dealing with a hamstring injury. Now, maybe, and I'm just wrong, but to my knowledge,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, I was about to say, to my knowledge, I haven't heard of that, and I don't know anything about that. But
According to our sources.
right, I think it's more so he's just choosing not to run the football, and I don't know, what the reason is, but if that's the case, just dial up some quarterback design runs. And it's already been an hour and 40 minutes. Well, here the bottom
Yeah,
line is,
I got to get off.
I know you want to watch that game, but here, but the bottom line is, folks, a win is a win, an ugly win, but we're on to the next one. We got to learn from it, put it behind us, and we just can't let that keep happening. I don't. What's the answer? I'm not too sure, but you got to be consistent. That's what it boils down to. We've got to be consistent. We've got to run the ball effectively. We got to open up the passing game, which we've been doing, and we've got to have balance on offense, which we're working towards. Defense has to continue to play lights out, and we need a little more. I think we could use some more splash plays on special teams. I know we talk about special teams being good. We're more so referring to Burnip and Will Reichert. But really, since that block punt and Terrion had that return against USF call back, a couple big hits against, was it Ole Miss or Texas? We could use some big plays on special teams as well. But we just got to keep playing good football and improve. Because right now, again, we're doing some good things, but we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. As Coach Saban said, we're shooting our whole damn foot off. So if we want to have the team that we think we can have, and that's a championship quality team, we got to clean it up. And the key word, consistency. That's what it boils down to. There's no other way to put it. It's all about consistency. Consistency will determine if this team wins an SEC championship, national championship, or not. Because they've shown they've got the ability, they've shown the potential, they've shown the promise. But can they do it consistently and when it matters most? That's to be determined. And that next test is Tennessee at home. We'll see how it goes. But I'm telling you right now, they've got to play better than they played today, at least in the second half. First half is okay. We can live with that. But the second half, you can't play football like we did in that second half and expect to win out on the schedule.
They'll play better. I will go on a limb, and I think
100%.
Because of last year, payback and what that game means, I think you'll see more juice, more energy, more excitement from this football team. And Tennessee's not really a juggernaut. It's not the Tennessee. If this is the Tennessee that last year's team, I would be a little bit concerned. Joe Milton is just okay. So I think we're going to be fine at home. Tennessee right now is playing A&M, and Tennessee's winning 2013 in the fourth. So, but coming to Tuscaloosa, I know the crowd's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a great week. Don't forget Reagan R&R Cigars. If you go online at www.rnrcigars.com and use the code Miller's Edge. You'll get 20% off that box of cigars. As I've seen them, the inscribed of Tennessee, Alabama, nice box, nice cigar, and 20% off. So make sure you go check them out, www.rnrcigars.com, and use Miller's Edge, and that'll get you 20% off. Also, if you're not from Tuscaloosa, you can't go by there and pick them up, it's free shipping. So check those out if you're going to light it. The cigar counter, this is a broke one I brought back, but you're going to be telling because it's been a – but if you can see it, it's got a little football on there, and it's but it won't look like this because I brought it back from Tuscaloosa the other day. So there you go. Right, Christian, can you write that out for Movio is asking about the R&R cigar.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Can
real
you
quick.
paste the deal on there?
Yeah, you guys definitely. If you want a victory cigar, which obviously we got to get the victory first, which I wholeheartedly believe we will. We're gonna play better next week. Make sure you do check these out though. They're super dope. My dad just showed it. It's got the football on there and all that. I'm pulling
around
up
again.
I'm pulling up the website now. I'll leave a link, but use code Miller's Edge. We're not just doing that. We don't get any perks off of that. You really save 20%. They're a sponsor of our radio show, so you'll save 20% and get free shipping if you do that. So I'm gonna put a link to the website, and then just make sure you use code Miller's Edge. So I just put the website down there, www.rnrcigars, code Miller's Edge. So if you guys are interested in those victory cigars, check them out there. Again, 20% off and free shipping. But yeah, man, I think we'll definitely play a lot better next week. Again, it's not like we're over here, catastrophizing. We thought that this very well could be this type of game, a tough game that very well could look like a slump game for Alabama. So I wouldn't say we're shocked or surprised. We pretty much said this. You can go back and listen. It's just more so, I wouldn't necessarily sum it up as disappointing. It's it's got me scratching my head because I'm like, man, I just feel like this team has so much potential. We just have to tap into it, and we're this close. I feel like this close, and so hopefully we see that next week when they take on Tennessee at home again before their bye week. So appreciate everybody tuning in to this post game show again. Sorry for it being late. I just got home not long ago, and I don't have the best juice right now. I've had a long day starting at 5, and then going on the pregame show for 2 hours, starting at 6. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us again. If you haven't, please drop a like. That helps us out. Make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell to stay up to date with everything that we've got going on here. So again, thank you so much for all your support, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on all social media platforms. And remember, we'll be back this Thursday for the Miller's Edge Extra Live. So make sure you tune in then. You got anything before we get out of here?
No, I appreciate everybody. I'm sitting here, Florida's getting ready. They're in scoring position to either tie or win the football game. As you can see, less than a minute. There's a touchdown right there. Florida just took the lead. Our defense stinks. Dadgummit. Unbelievable. Survive in advance. There you go, Tia. Good luck. It's too late, Tia. They just took Graham Mertz transferred from Wisconsin. There's a flag. I don't know if it's going to come back. I hope it does, but I'm probably going to be on sportsmanlike. But anyway, God bless you.
Guys, I did not mean to kick him out. I totally meant to. There he goes. I'm sorry. I did not mean to drop you off. I was trying to get you off.
Because
no, I was trying to get you off of solo mode.
They took the lead with 47 seconds to go. Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
They got unsportsmanlike penalty, so we're going to get good field position. Maybe we can go down and win it. So we'll see. Our defense stinks.
I hate that for y'all.
Defense
we can't
stinks.
say the same here. We have.
I wouldn't doubt it. The defense coordinator is going to be fired after this game. This is a must-win for South Carolina. No, Alabama, I don't think is going to lose any ranking. I think they'll stay right where they are unless some people inside the top 10. There's going to be at least one that lose because Washington and Oregon's playing right now. So I think they stay right around 10 or 11. They should be okay. A win is a win. John Wick is on HBO Max. That costs money. Nah, I can't do that.
Oh my!
Can't do that,
folks. We're gonna take these super chats and get him.
Have a great Sunday. Worship
so he can
the
watch
Lord.
John Wick.
A lot of you, we worship football on the day. We all did. So let's make sure we, whether at home or online or wherever, make sure you give God His time, each word you have. God bless you. Love all y'all. Appreciate all the super chats and all the chats in general. Bama Standard. We'll holler at you next week. God bless you. And I got to figure something out. I got to go into prayer mode, see if we can pull a miracle. God bless.
That's right. Kelly 60, Tia, Timothy, Dr. Crystal, let's see, Titan Guy, Genevieve's House, Bama Standard, and yep, that's everybody. Thank y'all so much for all the super chats. And again, thank you everybody in here for hanging out with us, for tuning in to the Miller's Edge post-game show. Remember, like the video if you haven't yet. Go check out our other videos. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. Remember, we'll be back Thursday for the Miller's Edge Extra Live right here on our YouTube channel, but you can also listen to us Monday through Friday on the Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9. You can listen on FM, or you can go to the app, go download that, Tide 100.9, or go to the website, www.tide100.9.com. Check us out there. But again, thank you all so much for the support, hanging out with us. Looking forward to doing it again on Thursday on the Miller's Edge Extra. We'll see you guys then.